Well, hey everybody. So this is your curriculum unit webinar. I wanted to do this webinar because I thought it would be an efficient way for us to go over your curriculum unit. So what you'll need to do, if you haven't already, is log into our Google Classroom and make sure that you're in the stream here. And you can scroll all the way down to the very bottom and you will see curriculum unit, and then select the Google Doc there. Okay, so what I want to do is go over this unit with you. So this is one of your biggest, if not actually the biggest assignment in this class. So it's really important that you understand all of the components, and what's nice about this webinar is that it will be available the entire semester. So if you have a question, you can always come back to it. So a couple things just to note. This unit is something that you'll develop, and it should take place in your 304 placement, which should be your student teaching placement. But if it's not your student teaching placement, you could certainly do it in any grade level. I would encourage you to do this in your student teaching placement because it will make it real for you. You have the possibility then of actually using this unit and all of the resources that you're creating when you get to student teaching. Plus, then that is one subject area for 2 weeks that you might not have to plan for. So that's always a perk, right? Okay, a couple things about this unit. It has to be science or social studies. That's really important. You do a lot of work with literacy in Dr. Rogers' class, and also you do some work with math in Professor Hill's class. So this will focus on science and social studies. This is a 2-week unit, so it has to be 10 consecutive days. It's my understanding that never in your experience here at Bridgewater have you created a consecutive lesson plan. So it's important to think about that as teaching. You really are teaching consecutively day after day. It's not just here I'm teaching one lesson and here I'm teaching another lesson. Teaching is consecutive, so it's important to know what your students have learned the day before and what they're going to learn the next day. This lesson or this unit requires a first day as well as a final day with a pre-test and a post-test. So basically it ends up being about 8 days with your day 1 and your day 10 being identical. This unit will be organized via Google Classroom, so you'll have a folder and you'll be able to submit everything there. There will be 2 checkpoints throughout the semester where you'll get feedback on your unit. These checkpoints are optional, but as I've been highly encouraged by some of my previous students to start this early, and I would definitely encourage you to do that for sure. So the more you do, the more feedback you'll get, and hopefully the better grade that you'll get in the end, right? All right, so yeah, like it says here, pencil grade on anything that you work on. Okay, so let's get into what actually should be in your unit. You need to select an SOL. This is really important. I encourage you to communicate with your cooperating teacher to, if you can, determine maybe what you're going to be teaching, whether you do your student teaching in the fall or the spring. But please do not bombard your CT right now with, what am I going to be teaching this spring? Because he or she may not know. You can do some homework on this too by looking up your school division's website and seeing if they have any planning documents, benchmarks, what they do each semester. So you can check that out and see if that's available, because that could be really helpful for you too. So what I need is one page where you're going to copy and paste the entire SOL from the curriculum framework. So we all know how to do that, and if you don't, you definitely should. We're going to be accessing the DOE curriculum framework frequently in our class. It's imperative that you have all of the content from within your SOL in your unit, so that's really important. So I wanted to give you an example of what this would look like. Again, this is a previous class, so they've done theirs in Moodle, but basically I just want to see the SOL. So here it is. They have pasted the SOL here for me, so that way I can see what they need to cover when they're teaching this unit. All right, let's hop back here. So the next thing that you'll need to do is pace out your unit. You might not know what that means, but don't fret. We're going to spend lots of time in class actually pacing out a unit together, thinking about what content needs a certain amount of time to be covered. So does it take, 2 days to cover this concept, or just one day, or half a day, maybe even? So we'll spend some time with that. Um, it's really important to know that most units are not going to fit cleanly in 10 days here. That's just not teaching. We can't put teaching in a box, right? So it's important that that you can plan for longer than that. So if your unit actually takes 18 days or 12 days, that's perfectly fine. I do need for you to plan, not to plan, but to pace out all 15 days or 12 days. That way I can see, what your thought process is, and why did you choose to teach, Native Americans for 2 days, or why did you choose to teach force, motion, and energy for just one day. So that's really important for this, and definitely a place where you can get some significant feedback before you get started. Certainly we wouldn't want you to plan and pace out your whole entire unit, and then we'd have to go back and repace it. So that's one of the very first things that you need to do. All right, next, it's important that you create 3 overarching goals for this unit. So think about, why are you doing the activities that you're doing? What benefits or skills are your students going to gain from the activities that you're choosing? This can be written in paragraphs, about one paragraph for each goal to clearly articulate. So let me see if I can just show you a quick example here. All right, so basic, just organized in bullets, which is perfect. All right, next thing, here we get into the lesson plans. Like I said already, this includes a pre-test and post-test, so only 8 days of actual real lesson plans. Your first day and your final day certainly can include, introductions, or introductory activities, as well as the pre-test. All of your supplemental materials must be included. These can be things that you've created, or these can be things that you have borrowed and adapted. As long as you're giving credit to those people who actually made the activity or the worksheet, that's fine with me. So like I've said already, day 1 and day 10 need to be identical. You're required to use the Bridgewater College lesson plan template. As you've seen in lessons A through D, it's going to use the same exact structure. So the same points are going to be assigned for the same areas of the lesson plan. All right, so varied integration, part of being a teacher and an elementary school teacher is varying your instruction. In your whole unit, you need to have integration in the areas of technology, music, art, and health and PE. So we're going to have specialists coming from each of these areas to talk to you a little bit about what effective integration looks like. I need for you to simply highlight it or note it somewhere, so that way I know, hey, this is the music integration day, or this is the tech integration day. I need to be able to see it very, very clearly. All right, next, all of your lessons need to include accommodations. We're going to spend some time with accommodations, and I don't mean just one area. So think about your gifted students, your English language learners. Even if you don't necessarily have children in your current field experience placement, you might when you actually teach. So it's important just to think about those areas. All right, next is textbook strategies. 4 of your lessons must include strategies from within our text. Our text articulates various strategies that you can use while you're teaching, so these need to be clearly identified. So the way that I would suggest it is, if you have something on cooperative learning, maybe that's going to be a textbook strategy. So you're going to integrate that into your unit, and you're just going to note that. So that would be 1 done. The first 5 lessons do need to be submitted for feedback by checkpoint 1, and then the second 5 lessons should be submitted by checkpoint 2. So this kind of just splits it up evenly right in the middle, so that way we can kind of check and see where you are and you haven't done too much that you need to change. All right, designing a newsletter or any other form of communication. This does not, I repeat, this does not have to be a physical newsletter. This can be any type of communication to your students' parents or guardians. Just talking about some of the exciting learning opportunities that your child is going to have. Maybe you need cotton balls, or maybe you need Oreo cookies. This is a great place to highlight that. So this should be something that's eye-catching. You want your parents to read it. Parents get so many things sent home to them every single day. So if it's just a paper with text on it, they may not read it, so think about something creative. Point 6, accumulate a list of at least 10 books from your school's library which relate to your unit topic for your curriculum corner. So this should be organized in an annotated bibliography style. You need to include the reading level for the books that you select. So that can be AR, Scholastic, or Lexile level. Any of those are fine. I do want the books to be from your school library if possible. If you have some kind of crazy situation where you're not finding them, I just want you to speak to your librarian at your school, get to know your school's library, your media specialist or media resource person at your library, at your field placement school will be someone that could be really helpful to you. So check that out there. Next, you need to create an interactive vocabulary bulletin board. This is actually something that won't physically be online, obviously. You'll be assigned one of the bulletin boards in Florey, third floor, and you can create an interactive bulletin board. This actually has to work, so I'll go through and check them and make sure that they work there. All right, 8, a screencast. This may be your first time using a screencast, so it's fantastic. You should definitely practice. You can use any type of screencasting software. Jing, Camtasia, Screencast-O-Matic is actually the one that I'm using for this webinar. But your screencast can be of anything. If your students are absent one day and you want them to, if your student is absent, maybe you wanted to tape over something and show them how to, complete a long division problem. I know that's math, but that could be something that you would just briefly show them. So that's a good one. All right, cross-curricular connections. So here we're looking for a short summary of ideas to incorporate this unit into other curricular areas such as math, science, social studies, language arts. So basically what I'm looking for is just some ideas. So let me scroll down here and grab some for you. All right, so here's a list of cross-curricular connections. The student, related into language arts. She related into science. So I think there's some other things in here too. So this would just be a quick list. This does not necessarily have to be organized into paragraphs. Certainly it could be bullets. That's fine with me as long as I can clearly understand what it is that you're trying to do in the other subject areas. All right, winding down, everyone. The next thing is to develop a list of time burners. That may not be the best word necessarily, but things that your students could do when they're finished. A lot of people might say that, hey, just because I finished my work, now you're going to give me more work. So make it something that your student may actually really want to do, not just a worksheet. There's loads of resources out there, Pinterest, Enhanced Scope and Sequence, where you can find something that your students could do that would be interesting to them when they're finished. Let's see. You need to include an assessment, obviously, to measure the content that you've taught, as well as a key. You can include this on day 1 and day 10. That's fine. Next, you need to include one community connection, such as a guest speaker or a field trip. In a few sentences, you can briefly explain this activity and why it's relevant to your unit. So I'm not looking for one day to be a field trip. If you do want to do that, you need to plan out the entire field trip. It just can't be, hey, we're taking a field trip to the science museum. No. It needs to be very thought out. So thinking about here, maybe a guest speaker, someone who maybe is from a bank, maybe that relates to your unit on economics, or maybe someone who's passionate about, or maybe someone who does reenactments. That could be something for this one here. So again, just a brief explanation for this. References, this is key. Give credit where it's due. Your reference list should be lengthy. Cite anytime you grab something, whether that's a website or maybe your CT, that's fine too. And finally, probably the most fun, if you can consider it that, is acknowledgements. So just a quick list of thank yous to all those who have helped you. I'm going to let you guys take some time on your own to scroll through the checkpoints and what's required at each one. Of course, again, all checkpoints are optional, but the more you can get done earlier, the better for you. And then, of course, you can scroll down and check out the point distribution, which will be really important to you, as that is how you are getting your grade. Thanks so much for joining me in this webinar. I hope it was helpful to you.